Our next one is titled Smoking. OP says, so my boyfriend smokes, not cigarettes, if you know what I mean. Throughout this pregnancy, I've had multiple conversations with him. Do it outside. We even have a 3 seasons room, but he won't. At first he did, but then it turned into winter and it's too cold. Baby can come anytime now, and I'm tired of the house reeking every day. I have a nurse that comes by for weekly visits. My mum came over today and she smelled it and said the same thing I did to him. Why can't he do it elsewhere? The car, 3 seasons, outside. He shouldn't even be smoking in the house because of all the baby stuff I just washed and cleaned. All of our windows are taped or whatever with plastic because of the cold, so we can't open them right now, which makes it worse. I feel like it travels through the vents much easier. I'm worried about my nurse coming after baby and her smelling it. Then bam, a CPS case opens and we have a home visit. And if that happens, he just needs to go live elsewhere. I'm going to protect myself and my baby from that mess. I also can't imagine baby smelling the stuff and smelling like it. Either way, am I asking for too much? With how many conversations I've had, it makes it feel that way. I'm not asking him to quit. I'm just asking to go outside or something. I get that it's cold, but I don't really care either that it is. You choose to do this, and now we have a little one on the way that isn't choosing to be around it. So why are you going to force him to be around it? He always says okay, but then never does anything about it. I'm annoyed to my breaking point. My table is filled with dirty ashes. My home reeks every day. How do I go about this? Am I being too much? We have 19 days until our due date. Now, I am someone who is extremely sensitive to smoke. My dad used to smoke when I was a kid, and he would smoke cigarettes. So not the other thing that she's talking about, but he did smoke, and I hated it. I hated it as a child when he would do it. I especially hated it when he would do it in the car, because then I couldn't escape the smell at all. I would always try to convince him to open the window so I could just shove my head out and breathe. And I had uncles who smoked, and when they would start smoking inside, I would literally just get up and walk out the room because I could not stand to be around it. And I remember this very, very distinctly. Again, I was like 5, 6, 7 years old at the time. So I was very young, but I still remember it so clearly. And to this day, I despise the smell of smoke. Which is to say, I would never marry someone who's smoking anything and who wants to continue smoking anything. That said, the fact that she doesn't seem to have a problem with the smoking itself is fair enough. And I guess it's fair enough to also draw the line at to what extent will my baby be exposed to the smoke when you understand that smoke is not good for either a pregnant woman or for her child. Unfortunately, it seems to me that they just have a different set of values, that there are different things that are important to them. She's coming at this from the angle of, how do I look after my baby's health in the best possible way? And he's coming at it from the angle of, I don't really care. I don't think either, on some level, he just doesn't believe that it will impact the baby's health. And I guess it's true. A lot of people will say, hey, my baby was around it all the time and it was completely fine. It's not a problem. Or he just doesn't care to the extent that he wants to change his behavior around it. Or maybe he's kind of an addict in his behavior and just cannot change how he goes about it. And I think that's not a fixable issue. I think if you have such a fundamental disagreement on a values level, I don't know how you can work past that. Either she has to compromise on her values of, I want to look after my baby's health and make sure that the environment that we have for him is clean and fresh and does not stink and is not bad for his health. Or he has to compromise on his, I can do whatever I want in my home value. And I have no idea how you could work past this. So no, she's definitely not asking for too much. Like, this is completely reasonable, actually. Even saying, hey, you can continue doing it, but please do it outside. My father-in-law smokes, but he 100% of the time does it outside. And I couldn't stand it if he even thought about doing it inside. Like, that this would never, would never happen. But it would never occur to him to make it happen that way, because he does understand that it's not good for everyone around you to be breathing in the smoke. I think that it really depends on what is the thing that's holding him back. And I know that she says that they've had the conversation a lot as already. So I would question, okay, to what extent is this actually a conversation versus her just telling him, hey, I need you to do this, and that's it. Is this way that she says, he always says okay, and then never does anything about it. It seems to me like he's disengaged from the topic, like he's not actually trying to look for a solution. He doesn't believe that it's a serious problem. He's very passive about it in terms of like, does he come up with alternatives himself for what would be comfortable for him? Maybe he wants to have his like one smoking room in the house that's still indoors, but then it's known and accepted that that's the place that he does it, and you keep that door closed and no one ever walks in there. However you want to go about it. But it sounds to me like he's not on the same page and he's not really interested in trying to find a solution. And if that is the case, then that's a problem. And if the way that OP is going around about the conversation is to just tell him, and he doesn't care, so he's not engaging. And then next time she also tells him again, and then she tells him again, and she tells him again, then it's you get into this habit of just like nagging. And it's just frustrating for both of you because you're like, okay, why am I wasting air on having this conversation that's not resulting in any change? And he's annoyed because he's like, yeah, you told me that already, and I didn't care the first time around. Why do you think I would care now? So that's not good. I don't know how I would proceed from here if I were OP. I think I would probably try to really sit down and say, okay, to what extent is this something that you are not going to compromise on? And I would try to make it clear to him that this is also something that I will not compromise on, i.e. if he continues doing it, then either he's out or I'm out, and that's it. Because that is how serious I would take it. If she's not taking it that seriously, if it's not that important to her, then whatever line she needs to draw, she needs to define a line and then draw it. I think that that's the most fundamental thing with this type of situation. I would probably say that in future, before you decide to have kids with people, maybe make sure that you're on the same page with regards to things like smoking, because that's a daily behavior and it's a daily habit, and it's something that will follow you forever if you don't talk about it and you don't fix it. That's how I feel about this one. You can see some of the comments. This would absolutely be a deal breaker for me. It's disgusting to smoke anything indoors. He needs to smoke elsewhere. End of story. If he can't make that simple change for your health and the baby's health, then he doesn't really care about you. Can you buy an air purifier or two to help clear things out? Even if he stops now, the smell will probably linger for a while. I can't actually imagine that you're able to get the smell out without completely fumigating the entire house. But good luck with that. A bunch of other people, this person says, you're not asking too much and he's being selfish. It's no big deal for him to go outside. My husband and I both smoke as well. Me not now because I'm pregnant, but my husband still does, and he does it nowhere near me and is very respectful, and he won't have it anywhere near our baby. Your boyfriend needs to grow up and make a very easy change for everyone's well-being. You can see just the fact that this is a mum forum means that pretty much 99.9% of the people commenting are going to be like, yeah, like he's being totally unreasonable. He's being totally selfish. It's disgusting. It's unsafe. It's bad for your baby's health. Make him stop. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see this is another one who's kind of close to my side here. I could never cohabitate with this person. Like, yeah, me neither. She says, yes, the clothes and everything else will reek if he's smoking inside. That's so ridiculous on his part. He really could not live with me another day. He's so gross and lazy. And one person replies to this saying, hey, it absolutely will smell, probably far worse than OP realizes because she lives there and likely has become nose blind to it. We occasionally have kids stay with us who come from smoking homes. I assure you, those of us who don't smoke can smell it on them and their clothes, even after multiple washes and a couple of showers. And the reply to that, that's exactly what I thought. I didn't want to be too mean, but my first thought was, the smelly kid in class. That's so sad. This is one of those scenarios, and obviously, like, those are the social consequences when the kid is much older. The health consequences for a young child are very, very different. Ranging from things like risk of SIDS goes up dramatically if you have a smoker in the house. But it's really sad. I completely understand that people, from the libertarian perspective of things, people can make whatever decisions and whatever choices they want for themselves. And obviously a lot of the time they will make decisions and choices for their children as well. But it's really, really unfortunate when you make a terrible health choice for yourself and then your kids are the ones that have to suffer as a result of that. That's very sad.